We lived happily together for 16 years, until my husband won an $18 million lottery. He wanted to live a lavish, reckless life on his own, hiding it from his wife and children and taking everything. He dreamed of living with young, beautiful mistresses and abandoning me and our kids. I will not let him get his way. My hands trembled when I saw the Powerball ticket stamped, claimed $18,000 USD, with David Chen's signature. Beside it lay a signed divorce petition and a private investigator's card, marked surveillance complete. All of it sat inside my husband's desk drawer. The man I had trusted for 16 years had not only hidden $18 million, he was planning to abandon me and our 2 children. That day, I had only meant to grab the old laptop so Kevin could do his homework. David had left early, saying he was meeting a client in Boston. As usual, he'd locked his office door, but this time he forgot to pull out the key. When I opened the drawer looking for a charger cable, my fingers brushed a thick folder. Inside were documents that froze my blood. A Powerball ticket, marked prize claimed, $18 million, signed by David Chen. Date of claim, 14 months ago. A completed divorce, filing bearing David's signature, citing irreconcilable differences, and requesting exclusive control of all assets. A photocopy of the same lottery ticket, same numbers, but unstamped. Why keep a copy? I snapped photos with shaking hands. In the drawer lay a crumpled business card, Marcus Webb, private investigator. A penciled note read, "Surveillance complete. Subject shows no suspicious financial activity." He had hired a detective to watch me. David Chen, the man I trusted for 16 years, the father of my 2 children, had planned to discard his family the moment he became a millionaire. And as I would soon learn, this was only the beginning. To understand the shock I felt, you need to know the beautiful years we once had. I'm Jennifer Morgan, 39. I used to be an elementary school teacher before having kids. For 12 years, I've been a full-time homemaker, raising Emma, 17, and Kevin, 12. David, 43, worked in tech at Chen & Associates in New Jersey, earning about $92,000 a year. Comfortable, not extravagant. And for 16 years, we were truly happy. I still remember meeting David for the first time in the Rutgers University Library. He had just moved from California. I was a library assistant. We ended up debating To Kill a Mockingbird for 2 hours, forgetting the place was closing. David wasn't rich. He lived on scholarships and delivered pizzas, but he was smart, funny, and made me feel safe. We married after 3 years of dating, in a small backyard ceremony at my parents' house. He couldn't afford a fancy venue, so he built a flower backdrop himself and read a poem at the altar. "Jennifer, you are the light that guides me home. I promise to love you every day, richer or poorer." And for the first 14 years, he kept that promise. When Emma was born, David was the perfect father. He stayed up at night to change diapers, mix bottles, and lull her to sleep with Beatles songs. "Rest, Jen. I've got this," he'd always say. We weren't wealthy, but we were content. Every Saturday, he'd take us to picnic at Mindawaskin Park. Every Sunday night, we cooked dinner together while the kids played music and danced. By the time Kevin was born, David's company was thriving. We bought our dream home in Westfield, a 4-bedroom house with a big backyard. David remained devoted. He drove Emma to piano lessons every Wednesday, coached Kevin's baseball on weekends, and was always home for dinner. We had lovely family trips to Disney World, the Grand Canyon, Yellowstone. David took hundreds of photos and printed them into photo books. "These memories are our greatest assets," he'd say. I remember movie nights after the kids were asleep, long talks about Emma's future, or whether Kevin should try violin. David would squeeze my hand. "Family is all I have." I'd never hurt you. We had built a truly happy life. Or so I thought. Everything began to change about 18 months ago. At first, it was subtle. David started taking business trips more often. Jen, next week I'll be in Boston 3 days. Big client. This month I'm flying to Chicago for 4 days. Vegas for a tech conference. Just a week. I trusted him completely. After 14 years of marriage, doubting him felt absurd. He'd always been reliable, responsible, grounded. But odd details piled up. A Rolex, he said, was a gift from a client. An Armani suit he'd bought on deep discount. Late-night calls he took out on the porch, murmuring into his phone. West Coast clients, different time zone, he explained. He switched his phone lock from a simple passcode to Face ID. Company security protocol, he said. One evening, Emma asked, "Mum, why does Dad always step outside to talk on the phone? It's not loud in here." I told her, "Maybe he doesn't want to bother us." How naive I was. Once, a credit card statement slipped from his jacket pocket. $3,800 at a fine dining restaurant in Miami. $2,800 at a hotel in Atlantic City. $5,000 at a jewelry store from which I'd received nothing. Client entertainment, David said smoothly. The company reimburses it. I asked no more. Blind trust. Outwardly, he remained the perfect husband and father, driving Kevin to practice, checking Emma's grades, kissing me goodbye each morning. But it was all performance, and I was the most gullible audience of all. Here's the English translation of Part 3-4 from your document. Keeping the tone, pacing, and emotional realism true to the original. The morning after discovering the lottery ticket, I couldn't sleep. Lying next to David, listening to his steady breathing, I felt as if a stranger had taken my husband's place. $18 million. The number kept looping in my mind. When David returned from Boston, he looked perfectly normal, making coffee, as usual. How was the trip? Fine. The client was tough, but I closed the deal. I laid the photos on the table. The $18 million ticket, the divorce papers, the PI's card. David looked down, his face drained of color. Can you explain this? Silence. 10 long seconds. Then he picked up the ticket and met my eyes with a cold, calculating look I had never seen before. You went into my office. That's our house, David, not your private fortress. He sat down, rubbed his face, then straightened up, massing himself in calm composure. All right, he said. Since you already know, I'll be honest. You won the lottery 14 months ago. You planned to divorce me to keep it all, didn't you? David exhaled slowly, poured himself a glass of water and took a sip, too calm for someone caught red-handed. Jen, I admit I won. And I panicked. I didn't know how to handle that much money. I was afraid it would change us, 'cause fights about how to spend it, so I drafted a worst-case scenario. Your worst-case scenario was abandoning your family? No, listen, it was just insurance, but I never filed it. I realized what really matters is family. I want us to enjoy the money together, to build a better life for the kids. He reached for my hand. The same comforting gesture I once loved, now empty and cold. Jen, I'm sorry. I handled it badly, but I want to fix this. Let's start over. Total transparency. I'll show you everything. The accounts, the investments, all of it. Let's plan the future as a team. His words were too smooth, too rehearsed, like a presentation practiced in front of a mirror. And yet part of me wanted to believe him. 16 years of love doesn't vanish overnight. You'll show me everything? Every investment? I promise. Just give me 1 week to organize everything properly. I want to prepare a comprehensive report so you'll understand. 1 week, no longer. He smiled, relieved. Thank you. You won't regret this. I'll prove I can still be the husband you deserve. He kissed my forehead, an old gesture from our early years. But it felt hollow now, mechanical. In my gut, I knew something was wrong. And the next week would prove I was right. A week passed. David kept delaying. Jen, I need a few more days. The files are more complicated than I thought. David, you've had a week. The investments are spread across states. I'm consolidating data, just 3 more days. 3 days turned into 5. Then another week. Each time he had a new excuse. The accountant's delay, a missing signature, slow bank processing. It became clear. David never intended to show me anything. He was stalling, so I began my own investigation. The credit card statements still mailed to our house were my first lead. I reviewed the past 12 months, $15,200 at luxury restaurants, Morton's, Ruth's Chris, in just 2 months, $8,700 at Nobu Miami, $8,500 at Tiffany & Co. No jewelry ever reached me. $12,000 at the Setai Miami Beach, 5 nights. $9,800 at Borgata, Atlantic City. Numerous charges listed only as entertainment services. Total over $120,000 on one card in a single year. But that was only spending. The investments he'd mentioned, crypto, real estate, were locked away behind new passwords. I confronted him again. David, there's a charge for $8,500 at Tiffany. I never got any jewelry. Gift for an important client. Business expense. And $12,000 at a Miami hotel. Major conference. Needed to stay somewhere nice for networking. Every answer was smooth. Too smooth. One night, I pressed harder. How much have you invested in crypto and real estate? About 2-3 million total. How's the return? Crypto's volatile. Real estate takes time. Long-term play. Show me your portfolio. Just screenshots. Jen, don't worry, I'm managing it. Trust me. That word, trust, had started to sound hollow. I called Rachel Morrison, my closest friend and a forensic accountant. Rachel, I need help. Urgently. We met at a cafe in Summit. I laid everything out. Photos of the ticket, the statements, his business trips. Rachel studied the papers, her face growing darker. Jennifer, this spending pattern isn't normal. And the fact he refuses transparency, that's a huge red flag. Do you still have access to any joint accounts? No. He changed all the passwords and removed me as an authorized user. That's financial abuse, Jen. He's isolating you economically. She opened her laptop. You need a private investigator, someone who specializes in financial crimes, and you need to prepare for the worst-case scenario. What do you mean? He may have lost a big chunk of the money, or worse, he's hiding assets to prepare for divorce. The phrase worst-case scenario sent chills through me. Rachel referred me to James Reed, a former FBI agent turned private investigator. Mrs. Chen, he said in our first meeting, I'll be honest, this kind of investigation often uncovers painful truths. Are you sure you want to know everything? Yes, I said, no matter how painful. My retainer fee is $15,000. I'll conduct a comprehensive investigation. Financial records, surveillance, background checks. Expect a preliminary report in 2 weeks. I thought about my secret savings, $28,000, tucked away for Emma's college fund. I withdrew $15,000 and hired him. While James investigated, I kept pushing David. It's been 2 weeks. I want to see the documents. Jen, stop obsessing over this. I told you, I'm handling it. I'm not obsessing. I just want transparency. You don't trust me? You hid a lottery win for 14 months and prepared divorce papers. Of course I don't trust you. David stood up, voice cold. You want to see the records? Fine. But don't blame me if you don't like what you find. What's that supposed to mean? It means I made investment choices you might not approve of. But it's my money. I earned it. It's our money, David. We're married. Legally, I'm the lottery winner. I decide how to use it. That was the first time he dropped the mask completely. Wow, I whispered. You actually believe that? He realized he'd gone too far and softened his tone. I didn't mean it that way. I'm just stressed. I'm sorry. Too late. I had seen the real him. 3 days later, James called. Mrs. Chen, we need to meet. I've found something. At James's office, I sat across from a thick case file. Mrs. Chen, he said, I won't sugarcoat this. What I found is deeply disturbing. He opened the first folder. About those business trips. I verified with airlines and hotels. David never went to Boston, Chicago, or Vegas for work. He went to Miami, Atlantic City, and Manhattan. And none of those trips were business-related. James pointed to a series of surveillance photos. Here's David at the Setai, Miami, accompanied by 2 young women. Based on their behavior and appearance, they're high-end escorts. Rates around $2,000 to $3,000 per night. This one is from Borgata, Atlantic City. Casino records show he lost $47,000 at blackjack in just 4 days. James turned another page. And here, David rented an apartment at 150 Charles Street, West Village, Manhattan. Monthly rent, $6,500. He's had it for 8 months. My stomach twisted. What's the apartment for? To meet women. Surveillance shows him bringing different women there regularly. We identified several, professional escorts from New York and New Jersey. He slid a spreadsheet across the desk. Conservative estimate. He spent $180,000, $200,000 on escorts in the past 14 months. I stared at the numbers in silence, my throat dry. But there's something worse, James said quietly. Worse? How could there be worse? He placed another set of photos on the table. David sitting in a cafe with a girl, a very young girl. Who is she? Her name's Ashley Miller, 15 years old, a sophomore at Westfield High School. The same school your daughter attends. The world tilted around me. My daughter, Emma, she knows this girl? They're classmates. Ashley's a cheerleader, Emma's in the drama club. They're not close, but they know each other. James showed me a timeline. The relationship started about 4 months ago. Pattern. David picks her up after school, takes her to coffee shops, shopping, fancy dinners. Then it escalates physically. Was there sexual contact? I forced the words out. We don't have direct proof inside private locations, but based on surveillance duration, locations, and testimonies from Ashley's friends, yes, very likely. Testimonies? I discreetly spoke to some of her friends. They said Ashley's been bragging about a rich older boyfriend who promised to take care of her. She showed them jewelry, designer bags, and photos of a townhouse he claimed he bought for her. Townhouse? Yes. 4 months ago, David bought a property in Newark, 847 Jefferson Street, $280,000, under an LLC called DC Properties NJ. But 6 weeks ago, he sold it. Quick sale, $250,000. Took a $30,000 loss. The proceeds were wired to an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. Cold sweat ran down my back. He's planning to run. That's my assessment. He even booked a one-way ticket to Bangkok 2 weeks from now. I stood pacing the room, trying to breathe. There's one more thing, James said. Ashley doesn't know the townhouse was sold. She still thinks it's her house. She goes there sometimes, but the new owners changed the locks. What do we do about Ashley? It's complicated. She's a minor. If we approach her directly, she might panic, and he'll deny everything. We need your help. What kind of help? Talk to her, woman to woman, mother to potential victim. Convince her David is dangerous. 2 days later, I waited outside Westfield High School. Ashley emerged, blonde hair, cheer jacket, 15, but painted to look 18. Ashley? Yes, she said warily. I'm Jennifer Chen, David Chen's wife. Her face went white. I didn't know he was married. You did, he told you. You know he has 2 kids, one goes to your school. Ashley backed away. I don't want to talk to you. Please, Ashley. Just 5 minutes. Then I'll leave you alone. She hesitated, then nodded. We sat on a bench in the nearby park. Ashley, what did David tell you about your relationship? He said he loves me. That when I turn 18, he'll divorce his wife and marry me. And the townhouse? He bought it for us. He said it would be our home. I swallowed. Ashley, David sold that house 6 weeks ago. No, he wouldn't. He sold it for $250,000 and wired the money offshore. He's getting ready to flee. You're lying, she shouted, tears spilling. You're jealous because he doesn't love you anymore. Ashley, you're 15. David's 43. That's statutory rape. It's not rape. I love him. He loves me. He doesn't love you, Ashley. He's exploiting you. You don't understand, she sobbed. You don't know what we have. He said I'm special. Ashley, please. I don't want to hear it. Just leave us alone. She ran off crying. That night I told James and Rachel's lawyer friend, Mark Davis, what happened. Mrs. Chen, Mark said, with the evidence James collected, you have a strong case for divorce and for criminal charges. But regarding Ashley, she won't cooperate. Exactly. Without the victim's statement, statutory rape charges are hard to file. We need either direct evidence or for Ashley to realize the truth herself. How? Sometimes, James said, reality hits hardest when they see the lie firsthand. If she goes to that townhouse and finds another family living there, we can't stage that. No. But we can be there when it happens and be ready to catch her when she falls. A week later, James called. Ashley found out. She went to the townhouse, couldn't get in, met the new owners, left crying. Where will she go? 2 options, home to her mother or to David. We're monitoring both. 2 hours later. She's at David's Manhattan apartment. They're arguing. Sounds heated. I don't know exactly what happened in that apartment. But when Ashley walked out, makeup smeared, eyes red, I knew something had broken. She sat on the steps outside, head in her hands, sobbing. I approached slowly. Ashley, she looked up. No longer angry, just shattered. You were right. You were right about everything. What happened? I went to talk to him about the house. He said he had to sell because of financial issues. Then, I told him. Her voice broke. I told him, I'm pregnant. Oh, God. He freaked out, said I was ruining his life, told me to get rid of it, offered me money to take care of the problem. She looked at me, eyes hollow. He never loved me. I was just a toy, something to use. I held her tight. It's not your fault. None of this is your fault. I'm so stupid. I thought I was special. You are special. But David's a predator. He manipulated you. That's on him, not you. We sat there for a long time, me holding a crying teenager. Finally, she whispered, "What do I do now?" "First, we call your mum. Then we get you to a doctor. After that, you decide what happens next. And if you're ready, we stop David from hurting anyone else." Ashley nodded, trembling. "I'll help. I'll tell the police everything." 2 days later, Mark Davis arranged a settlement conference at my house, officially to discuss divorce terms. In reality, it was a trap to confront David with every piece of evidence. Present, me and Mark, my lawyer, James Reed, private investigator, evidence file in hand, David and his attorney, Emma and Kevin, were at Rachel's house. I didn't want them witnessing this. 6 p.m., David arrived, confident, like a man walking into a business meeting. "Jen, I don't see why we need lawyers. We can work this out like adults." "Sit down, David," Mark said. "We have a lot to discuss." David sat. His attorney, a man in his 60s, expensive suit, poker face, nodded. Mark began. "Chen, my client is filing for divorce on grounds of adultery, financial deception, and child endangerment. We're coordinating with law enforcement regarding criminal charges." David's lawyer leaned forward. "Criminal charges? Based on what?" James opened his folder and calmly laid out photos. "Statutory sexual assault. The victim, Ashley Miller, 15. Timeline shows multiple sexual encounters over 4 months." David's face went pale. "That's ridiculous. I didn't." "We have surveillance photos, witness statements from her friends, and communication records between you and the victim. She told me she was 18. She wore a Westfield High uniform. You drove her home from school. You knew." James continued, page after page. Financial deception, concealing $18 million in lottery winnings with intent to deprive spouse. Heavy losses, roughly $6 million lost in crypto, real estate scams, and gambling. Illicit spending, about $200,000 on prostitution. Escape plan, one-way ticket to Bangkok. Offshore accounts, liquidation of assets. With each revelation, David sank deeper into his chair. His attorney scribbled notes frantically. "Mr. Chen," Mark said, "here's the situation. If you cooperate, no contest to divorce, partial settlement, we won't pursue maximum criminal penalties. Refuse, and you face full prosecution." David looked panicked. He whispered with his lawyer. "My client denies all allegations involving the minor," the lawyer said finally. "He admits marital issues and may agree to divorce, but the statutory rape charge is false." "So he denies any relationship with Ashley Miller?" "He may have met her socially, but nothing inappropriate occurred." Just then, the doorbell rang. We froze. James went to the door. A young, trembling voice spoke, and then Ashley burst into the living room, mascara streaked, eyes red. "David! We need to talk about the baby! You can't just ignore me." The room went silent. David froze, caught in full view. Ashley looked around, saw me, the lawyers, the evidence spread out. What's going on?" "Ashley," I said softly, "you shouldn't be here right now." "No," she turned to David. Tell them you love me. Tell them about the house you bought, about—" "Ashley, shut up," he hissed. Everyone recoiled at his tone. "You need to leave," he said coldly. "This is a private meeting." "Private? You're talking about me. About our baby." "There is no baby. I told you to take care of it." Ashley turned to me, tears streaming. "He said he loves me. He said when I turn 18 we'll be together. He bought a house, the house he sold 6 weeks ago, to fund his escape," I said quietly. Ashley's expression crumbled into realization. This is all about me? Mark stood. Ashley, I'm Mark Davis, attorney. You've just corroborated the evidence. Would you be willing to make an official statement? Before she could answer, violent pounding at the front door. Everyone jumped. James peered out the window, his face tightening. Mrs. Chen, call 911, now. Why? 3 men outside. I recognize them from surveillance. Associates of the Lucchese crime family. David shot up. Shit. You know them? I demanded. They're people I owe money to. How much? 1.5 million. The pounding grew louder. A voice shouted, Chen, we know you're in there, come out! Ashley screamed. I grabbed my phone. This is 847 Elm Street, Westfield. 3 armed men trying to break in, family in danger. James drew his licensed handgun. Everyone, back through the kitchen. Now. We moved towards the back door. David's lawyer looked like he regretted every life decision. Crash. The front door burst open. 3 men in suits stormed in, cold eyes, heavy shoulders. Well, the leader sneered. Family meeting. Cute. Vincent, David stammered. I can explain. Shut up, Chen. You've dodged our calls for 2 weeks. The boss says time's up. Pay, or we collect another way. Vincent's gaze slid to me, then to Ashley. Nice family. Shame if something happened. James stepped forward, flashing his badge. James Reed, licensed PI. Law enforcement's on the way. You need to leave, now. PI? Vincent smirked. You're not a cop. No authority. A calm female voice came from the doorway. But I do. Detective Sarah Martinez entered, gun drawn, 4 uniformed officers behind her. Westfield PD, hands where I can see them. In the chaos that followed, I pulled Ashley close, shielding her. Within minutes, the 3 enforcers were cuffed. David was read his rights. David Chen, you're under arrest for solicitation of a minor, statutory sexual assault, financial fraud, and conspiracy. He looked at me, not sorry, not ashamed, but furious. As if I were the one who'd ruined his life. Ashley collapsed on the couch, sobbing. I held her tight, both of us shaking. Detective Martinez approached. Mrs. Chen, Ashley, we'll need full statements. But first, you both need medical care and counseling. EMTs are outside. As the chaos settled, I looked around, my wrecked living room, splintered door, overturned furniture. Evidence scattered everywhere. 16 years, gone in one night. But alongside the devastation, I felt something unexpected. Relief. The truth was finally out, and my real battle had just begun. 3 months after that chaotic night, the criminal trial began. David faced multiple charges. 2nd-degree sexual assault with a minor, child endangerment, concealment of marital assets, financial fraud, attempted flight from prosecution. The prosecutor, Linda Reyes, a 50-year-old woman with 20 years of experience in child abuse cases, addressed the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't the story of a man who made a mistake. It's the story of a predator, a manipulator who destroyed his own family and preyed on a child. For 3 days, the prosecution presented mountains of financial evidence. Bank statements showing David hid $18 million in lottery winnings, records of reckless losses, $3.2 million in crypto, $2.8 million in fake real estate deals, $600K in gambling, over $200K spent on escorts, and a one-way ticket to Bangkok. David's lawyer, Harold Briggs, tried to frame it as bad judgment. My client made poor financial decisions under stress. That is not a crime. Even solicitation is only a misdemeanor in New Jersey. Linda Reyes countered. This isn't about isolated mistakes. It's a pattern of deception that ended with the sexual assault of a child. On the fourth day, Ashley Miller took the stand. She'd ended her pregnancy 2 weeks after the confrontation. Small, pale, wrapped in an oversized cardigan, she faced the courtroom. Ashley, the prosecutor asked gently, "How did you meet the defendant?" "At Starbucks. I was doing homework. He came over, said he liked my essay, said he worked in tech and could help my career." "How old were you?" 15. Just turned 15 2 weeks earlier. And he knew? I told him. He asked what grade I was in. I said sophomore. He knew. She described the accidental meetings, the gifts, how he slowly pushed boundaries. "When he first touched you, how did you feel?" "Scared." He said that's how adults show love, said I was mature. He made me feel special. Did he talk about the future? He said when I turned 18, he'd divorce his wife and marry me. He showed me the house he bought for me, took photos of me in front of it, said, "This will be our home." "When did you find out the house had been sold?" "A week before everything exploded. I went there, the key didn't work, a new family lived inside. They said they bought it 6 weeks ago." From David Chen. "How did you feel?" "Like my whole world collapsed. Everything he said was a lie." The defense tried to attack her credibility. "Ashley, didn't you tell him you were 18? "No, never." "You wore makeup, dressed older. Were you trying to look older?" "I was 15. Wearing makeup doesn't mean I was asking for this." "You accepted his gifts voluntarily?" "He said they were gifts because he cared. I thought it was love." "You chose to be intimate?" "I was 15. I couldn't consent. He was the adult. He should have stopped." Silence filled the courtroom. The next day I testified. The prosecutor led me through 16 years of marriage, the moment I found the lottery ticket, the fake reconciliation. "Mrs. Chen, did you believe him when he said he wanted to make things right?" Part of me did, but his actions told another story. "When did you learn about Ashley?" "When the investigator showed me the photos. Seeing my husband with my daughter's classmate made me sick." The defense tried to paint me as vindictive. "Mrs. Chen, isn't this about revenge? About money?" "No, it's about protecting my children and making sure he never hurts anyone again." "But you hired an expensive lawyer and a PI. You wanted a bigger settlement." "I wanted the truth, and I wanted to protect Ashley. She was 15, the same age as my daughter. Any mother would have done the same." On the final day, David insisted on testifying against his lawyer's advice. "I admit I mishandled the winnings. I hurt my wife, but I never touched Ashley. We had coffee a few times. She misunderstood my kindness." The cross-examination destroyed him. "You never touched her? Then explain these photos, your arm around her waist, holding hands. That was just friendly." "Friendly? With a 15-year-old? I didn't think about her age. You bought her jewelry worth $8,500. I wanted to help. You gave her a key to a townhouse. It was an investment property. She visited 23 times in 3 months. Explain." "I don't remember." "Convenient. She says you promised to marry her at 18. True or false?" "False." "So she's lying?" "She's confused. Maybe imagined things." The prosecutor read his text messages aloud. "You're everything to me. I can't wait until we can be together properly. March 15th. I miss holding you, miss kissing you. April 3rd. Still out of context?" David went pale. "Mr. Chen, DNA confirms your presence in her apartment. Surveillance shows you entering with her 9 times, staying up to 4 hours. What were you doing?" He broke. "She said she loved me. She wanted it. I didn't force her. The courtroom erupted. The judge banged her gavel. The prosecutor turned to the jury. You just heard him admit it. Under New Jersey law, it doesn't matter what he claimed she wanted. She was a child. He knew. He did it anyway. After closing arguments, the jury deliberated 6 hours. Verdict: guilty on all counts. 2 weeks later came the sentencing. Judge Maria Rodriguez, stern and composed, looked straight at him. Mr. Chen, before I pass sentence, do you have anything to say? David's voice trembled. Your Honor, I regret my actions deeply. I hurt the people I love. But I'm not a monster. I'm a father, a husband. Please have mercy. For my children. The judge's tone was ice cold. What disturbs this court most is not the crimes, but your complete lack of remorse. Ashley Miller was 15, a child. You exploited her trust, manipulated her innocence, and when the truth came out, you tried to blame her. You stole from your wife, not only money, but years of her life. You betrayed your children. You showed no regard for the devastation you caused. She read the sentence slowly. 10 years for statutory sexual assault. 5 years consecutive for child endangerment. 3 years concurrent for financial fraud and concealment. Total, 15 years in New Jersey State Prison. He must register as a lifetime sex offender and have no contact with Ashley or his children until they reach 21 and choose to see him. In the gallery, Emma and Kevin wept. Kevin for losing a father, Emma in relief that he could never hurt anyone again. The divorce. 1 month later, the divorce was finalized. Attorney Mark Davis handled the negotiations. From roughly $335 million left after David's losses, Jennifer, M.E., received $2.2 million, 65%, plus the paid-off family home, $680K, plus full custody. David kept $1.15 million, 5%, but had to pay $200K in legal fees, $500K in restitution to Ashley Miller, $300K in debts, leaving about $150K held in trust until his release. Custody, full physical and legal custody to me. No visitation until the children turn 21 and request it. Child support, $2,000 per month from his prison wages. Civil settlement with Ashley Miller. Her family filed a separate lawsuit. Settled out of court. A $500,000 trust fund was established for her education and therapy, managed by a court-appointed trustee. After the hearing, Ashley's mother approached me. Mrs. Chen, thank you. If it weren't for you, I don't know what would have happened to my daughter. She's brave, she sighed, because you helped her see the truth. You could have walked away and focused on your own pain, but you didn't. You fought for her like she was your own child. We hugged, both in tears. 2 years after David's imprisonment, our lives had finally stabilized, but in a completely different way. Emma, now 19, was studying psychology with a minor in criminal justice at Rutgers. Mom, she told me, I want to help girls like Ashley, to make them understand it's not their fault, to show them they can heal. She still met Ashley occasionally. They weren't close, but they shared a quiet mutual respect. Ashley's stronger than people think, Emma said. She didn't let Dad destroy her. Kevin, 14, struggled more. Middle school boys can be cruel. Your dad's a pervert, one shouted at him in the hallway. He came home crying. Mom, why do I have to feel ashamed for what he did? I hugged him. Sweetheart, you are not responsible for your father's choices. His actions don't define who you are. We got him into counseling. His therapist helped him process the anger and shame. I'm grieving the father I thought I had, Kevin once said. That person never really existed, and that makes me sad. Ashley Miller, now 17, was doing better than anyone expected. She had decided to terminate the pregnancy, a painful choice, but the right one for her. "I wasn't ready to be a mother," she said quietly. "I was still a kid." She spent a year in therapy, PTSD treatment, trauma counseling, and eating disorder recovery. It was a long road, but she made it. One day, over coffee, Ashley told me, "Mrs. Chen, thank you. You could have hated me. You could have blamed me. But you didn't. Ashley, you were the victim. There's nothing to blame." People don't always see it that way. They ask why I didn't say no or why I accepted the gifts, as if it was my fault. "People fear what they don't understand," I told her. "They want to believe kids have control, but adults hold the power. And when they abuse it, it's never the child's fault." Ashley began volunteering at a rape crisis center, sharing her story with survivors. "Turning pain into purpose," she said. "That's how I heal." As for me, I founded Second Chances Consulting, a nonprofit helping women in complicated divorces, especially those facing hidden assets or financial deception. Rachel Morrison, my accountant friend, works with me part-time. James Reed, the private investigator, consults on cases that need surveillance. Mark Davis, my lawyer, offers pro bono legal advice to clients who can't afford representation. In just 2 years, we've helped 47 women. Some faced infidelity, some domestic violence, some, like me, financial abuse. "You saved my life," one client told me through tears. "My husband said I was paranoid, but you believed me. You helped me find the truth." I also began speaking at high schools about healthy relationships, manipulation, and financial independence. "Never let anyone control your money," I tell students. "Never let anyone make you doubt your own instincts. If your gut says something's wrong, listen." And David? From prison, he wrote letters, apologies, pleas for forgiveness, requests to see the kids. I never replied. Emma read one and decided never to answer. Kevin refused to open any. The letters became fewer, 1 or 2 per year. Through his lawyer, I learned he'd joined therapy and rehabilitation programs, gambling addiction recovery, sex offender treatment, vocational training. His prison psychologist reported signs of genuine remorse and progress. But Emma said it best. Remorse doesn't undo the harm he caused. It doesn't bring back the years you lost. It doesn't heal Ashley's trauma. Remorse is the beginning, but it doesn't earn forgiveness. She was wise beyond her years. 5 years after the day I found that lottery ticket, I stood in front of 80 women at a workshop called Rebuilding After Divorce. My name is Jennifer Chen. 5 years ago, I discovered my husband had hidden an $18 million lottery prize, lived a double life with escorts, and abused my daughter's 15-year-old classmate. That day, I thought my life was over. But it was actually the day my real life began. I shared 3 lessons I'd learned. Trust your intuition. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't let anyone gaslight you into believing you're paranoid. If your partner suddenly becomes secretive about money, changes passwords, refuses transparency, those are red flags. Investigate. Ask. Demand the truth. 2. You are stronger than you think. When everything fell apart, I thought I couldn't survive. I was a stay-at-home mum for 12 years with no career. But I did survive. I didn't just survive, I thrived. And you will too. 3. Never let anyone take your dignity. David tried to control me with money, tried to make me feel insane, tried to silence me with fear, but I refused. Divorce isn't failure. Sometimes leaving is the bravest thing you can do. After the talk, a young woman, Elena, 25 and pregnant, came up to me. "Mrs. Chen, I think my husband's hiding money. He tells me not to worry about finances, but I found receipts for things he denied buying. He gets angry whenever I ask questions. We talked for an hour. I gave her resources, red flag checklists, and contact info for lawyers and counselors. Elena, whatever you decide, remember this. You deserve honesty. You deserve respect. And if you're not getting it, you have options. That night, I came home to Emma and Kevin. We shared pizza on the couch, watching a movie. Mum, Kevin said between bites, you're happier now than you ever were. You think so? I asked. Yeah. Before you were always worried about money, about Dad, about everything. Now you're just you. Emma smiled. Kevin's right. You're stronger now. More yourself. I pulled them both close. You know what? Sometimes losing what you thought you needed, marriage, comfort, security, helps you find what you really needed all along yourself. I'm not grateful for the pain or for what happened, but I am grateful for who it made me. Stronger, wiser, free. Later, during a podcast on domestic abuse awareness, the host asked me, if you could tell one thing to women in similar situations, what would it be? I paused, then answered. Life can take everything from you. Money, love, even your illusions about who your partner is. But it can't take your dignity unless you let it. And it can't take the strength you discover when you finally decide to stand up for yourself. Never let anyone make you feel small. Never let anyone silence your voice, and never give up fighting for what you and your children deserve. Sometimes the biggest victory isn't keeping the marriage together. Sometimes the biggest victory is having the courage to walk away and find yourself again. You are stronger than you know, braver than you believe, and you deserve more than crumbs from someone who never valued you. The host wiped away tears. Powerful. Thank you for sharing your story and for the work you do. When the podcast ended, I looked out the window. The sun was setting over Westfield, the town I once thought I'd have to leave in shame. But I didn't run. I stayed. I rebuilt. I thrived. 16 years with the wrong man taught me to cherish the right kind of life. One built on truth, integrity, and self-respect. And that, in the end, was the greatest gift born from the darkest time of my life.